Thanks to SimpliSafe for sponsoring the video. Right now, they're having their best sale of the year. More on that later. Welcome back. We've got a fun episode. We are cruising here on Lady Bird Lake. We've got YouTube celebrity with us, Monica Church.
She's new to real estate, but not to YouTube. She has a great channel, so make sure you check it out. And we're super stoked to go and show her our current projects.
I flew all the way here to learn from the best. I'm so excited.
Hey Flipsters, I'm Lauren.
And I'm Lincoln, and we are happily married.
But not to each other.
We're old friends from college, and we're flipping houses in the Austin, Texas area.
And we're taking you along for the ride.
You guys have been asking us for a long time to do a video like this about the top 10 mistakes to avoid when you're flipping a house. So we thought Monica was a perfect person to take along for the journey.
I'm Monica Church, and I've been making YouTube videos for 10 years now. I'm from Seattle, Washington, and I just started out making beauty and fashion videos. I really like filmmaking, and I very recently decided that I want to get into real estate.
She's setting to get her license, and she's going to be an agent in Seattle. So if you're looking for houses up there, go check her out. She's awesome. She's a hustler. I'm impressed.
We've got 3 projects in the works right now. We're gonna take her to all 3 and tell her what mistakes we've made and how to avoid them. All right, so this first project is a disaster. We're gonna do a full before and after video on this property, so make sure you're subscribed to get notified when that video is released. It's a 4-bed, 3-bath, around 2,000 square foot house that we bought for $334,000 in Northeast Austin. It's a hot mess, so many issues going on with this.
This is my first time ever being in a house flip.
Okay, well, welcome.
I've always found house flipping to be such an interesting thing. I think everyone at some point or another wants to flip a house.
As you can tell, this is like a down to the studs, as complicated as it gets on some of our remodel projects.
So I wanted to come to Austin to meet with the Austin Flipsters to learn what it really takes to flip a house.
So our first mistake is biting off more than you can chew. If this is like your first flip, you would not want to take on something this big in scale.
How many flips did you guys do before you got to a point where you did something down to the studs?
Our very first flip was like cosmetic and easy, and it went really well, and that was kind of a problem because by our third project, we thought, you know, we really had it together.
It was like beginner's luck.
Yes,
it was beginner's
exactly.
luck. You know, you learn something on every project, and it's better to like learn on small ones and incrementally grow. The second big mistake is not trusting your gut.
We knew we shouldn't have bought it when we bought it. The price was really good and it was so super tempting, but we just kind of in our gut were like, I'm not sure this is really a good idea, and turns out it wasn't.
Sometimes the juice is not worth the squeeze, even though the price is right, just
Right.
like the time and headache makes it so much more complicated, and there's other projects you could be doing, and that opportunity cost is really what the mistake is.
Okay, yeah, I can see when you're buying a house and it's so fun looking at the deals and everything too. You can just get so sucked in, and you gotta reel it back and like take the emotion out of it and go, nope, this is a bad idea.
It is an emotional, especially if it's gonna be your house or your vacation property, like it is an emotional investment, but if you're looking at it from an investment perspective, you really do, have to dial back.
And the problem for us too is like if you've got a show or a YouTube channel,
Right.
projects like this actually make for the best content. They're the most dramatic before and afters.
But they take forever, we can't get them out. The third mistake we see is people compromising on location, meaning they buy on a busy street, in a flood zone, or next to a commercial property.
We bought a house on a busy road. We knew that when we bought it. It can decrease the value anywhere from like 5 to 30% depending on the road. This one's got a double yellow line with a turn lane, which is like not great. It's not a highway.
Yeah.
What we're hoping for on this one is that we have a bigger square footage and an extra bedroom than a lot of the houses in the neighborhood. We're hoping that compensates for the fact that it's on a busy street, but you just never know like what a buyer is gonna be a deal breaker, and for a lot of buyers, this is gonna be it.
Real quick, I wanted to talk to you guys about the sponsor of today's video, and that's SimpliSafe. So we've worked with SimpliSafe in the past, and we really love their product. SimpliSafe is by far the easiest solution to protect your home. There's no contracts, there's no salesman that shows up and makes you feel pressured into buying something. It's literally just a box that shows up your door that you can install in a matter of an hour or so, and then boom, your whole house is protected. They've got sensors to cover every window, room, and door, plus lots of great extras like water sensors, temperature sensors, and HD cameras. It's all really easy to use, and you get around-the-clock protection for just 50 cents a day, and there's no contracts. My favorite is the window sensors. For whatever reason, we've had problems in the past with people busting out our windows, breaking into projects and stealing our stuff, which just feels like a major violation. Since those days, we've really upped our security game, and SimpliSafe's a big part of that. Once you've got the sensors in the home base set up, SimpliSafe starts monitoring your property 24 hours a day. So if there's any alert on any of the sensors, like a glass breaking or somebody breaking into your front door, they automatically alert the police for you. They've even won US News and World Report's Best Overall Home Security for 2020. So for our subscribers, SimpliSafe is offering 30% off your entire system plus a free camera. If you go to simplisafe.com/flipsters, you can get 30% off your entire system plus an HD camera. That's a huge deal, and it really helps support our channel for us to keep making these videos for you.
Okay, so we're at the DIY Knot House. This is a project you'll see upcoming episode coming soon.
This next project is a 2,800 square foot, 5-bedroom, 3-bath house built in 2003. We picked this one up for $295,000.
We were gonna show Monica kind of some of our lessons at this house. Like, she's in the process of redoing a kitchen, and so we're gonna start in the kitchen.
Mistake number 4 is, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
We have, cabinets that were slightly dated, but the boxes, as you can see, are in really good shape. And so to replace these cabinets completely would probably be about $10,000. Instead, we've just taken down the fronts and we've painted them a bold, rich color. And I think it's gonna provide that update we're looking for at a minimal cost.
That is something I just totally didn't know. And cabinets are so expensive, and I thought, oh, you can paint them and give them kind of a different look, but I didn't realize you can not only do that, but you really can change the whole style. You can go from traditional to modern and still save like $10,000.
Yeah, so if we didn't want to use the existing fronts, we could have replaced the fronts altogether with like a flat front for a more modern look, which I think is kind of more your style. But in this case, we felt like the traditional worked up here in the suburbs.
You're just not gonna get your money back by ripping the whole thing out and redoing it. So don't overdo it on your cabinets if they're in good shape. Okay, lesson number 5 is to not overdo it on statement pieces. This fireplace, it takes up a lot of real estate. It's 2 stories tall. What we were working with before was like, they had done a DIY plastic veneer over it and it looked terrible. And I think ideally what we would like to do is to put like a stone facade all the way up, yeah?
It'd be super cool, but super expensive. So kind of our solution to this is we're gonna actually do a board and batten, which is a lot cheaper. We're gonna paint it like a really bold color to match the cabinetry, and so it'll still be a statement piece without breaking the bank.
For that stone, you could spend $10, $20 a square foot pretty easily, but for plywood, board, and batten, you're talking only a few dollars a square foot.
Yeah, I could see also how someone could say, well, I like that, and I think spending the extra money will make a buyer more motivated, but thinking, well, this statement isn't actually gonna make someone buy a house, the kitchen is going to.
Exactly.
That was like one of the first mistakes we made starting out, is we designed with stuff we like, not necessarily what was selling in the neighborhood, right? Yeah. And ultimately, you gotta sell it.
You wanna make sure that your finishes match like the level of the home that you're selling and also the neighborhood and the area and what's popular there.
The second house was more cosmetic, and I think that's really cool because it's more approachable. That is the thing that's more inspiring for people who are like, hey, maybe one day I'm gonna try and do that myself, and then yeah, maybe they can make a little money, build a little wealth doing that. Because that's what's really interesting about real estate as well. It's like any person can invest in real estate and build wealth.
Let's head upstairs for the most egregious lesson learned in this house, in the master bathroom.
So Monica, I wish you could have seen this before. We'll have to send you some footage. It was like a Texas-sized shower. It was crazy. They had a his and hers, and unfortunately, they DIY'd everything, including the plumbing.
Mistake number 6 is don't DIY specialty trades. That's things like electrical, your mechanical, and your plumbing.
Leave that to the experts.
DIY should be reserved to things that are much harder to screw up, like the paint, maybe hanging some electrical fixtures if you're super handy, but plumbing, man, that is one of the last things you don't want to DIY unless you're licensed and you know exactly what you're doing.
My dad, he loves to DIY things and he's pretty good at it, but he decided to put in a new fireplace in our house and he didn't frame it correctly, and actually there was a wood beam that eventually caught on fire.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So maybe also leave the fireplaces for the professionals. You know, I think the biggest takeaway so far is this is nothing like TV.
All right, this next house is a historic home. It was built in the 1930s. It's just over 2,000 square feet, 5 bedrooms and 3 baths when it's all done. We picked this thing up for $770,000.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah. This is gonna be our biggest before and after video ever. Make sure you guys are subscribed.
So for our next lesson, number 7 is don't cheap out on these flips. It's so tempting to get the cheapest material possible.
Well, didn't you just at the last house say, like, don't overspend, Lauren?
Okay, but it depends on what kind of house you're doing. So in this case, we're trying to sell this house for over $1 million. You can't have the cheapest materials. So you gotta know like your market, you gotta know what price point you're at, and then you gotta be willing to fork over some dough. So this door I'm obsessed with was a $2,000 door. Okay, we don't usually spend $2,000 on a door, but we felt like it was worth it because like this is the first thing the buyer's gonna see and touch. Yeah. So we like to spend money on materials that people are actually gonna touch, like the countertops.
Sets the tone.
Sets the tone, tone setter.
Plus the competition, 2 doors down from us, is a very similar style house. It sold for over $2 million. They've got this kind of front door. So if we're trying to say, hey, we're similar to them, we can compete with them, we need to have similar finishes. Mistake number 8 that people make is that they don't take their security seriously. It's just a sad reality. Sometimes people are gonna take advantage of you and steal your stuff. So we put up security systems.
Like Simply Safe?
Like Simply Safe. Like at this project, we don't have a garage for it. So we actually rented a storage locker that we could secure before all the windows were in, and we could lock it up securely so that people are not gonna walk off with our stuff.
Yeah, you don't want to buy materials twice. That will eat into your budget very quickly. Mistake number 9 is they just put lipstick on a pig. They don't address the underlying issues. They just do the cosmetic stuff, which is the fun stuff, but there's a lot of systems behind your walls that are super important for a house to maintain values. Like here you can see we've got the plumbing, we've got electrical, we've got some insulation, some drywall. So there's a lot going on before we put the pretty tile on. And I think sometimes people make the mistake of just doing the stuff that people look at, and then when they have an inspection, it comes back to bite them because the house isn't up to code.
I'd have to imagine there are unfortunately a lot of flippers out there that do just put lipstick on a pig.
Yes, there are a lot of people that are kind of like skirting the system, but that I just feel like it's like playing with fire.
We'll admit on our show we love a big before and after, and usually we just show you what was here and then how it turned out. You don't see all the hard work and money that is hiding behind these walls. All right guys, and the biggest mistake that I see flippers make is that they are not subscribed to the Austin Flipsters on YouTube. It's like,
what are they thinking? You can't flip a house without watching us do it first.
It's literally impossible. You're in luck. We've got bonus tip number 11. This is why you stick around to the end of the video. Bonus tip number 11, big mistake, is don't overlook the MLS. A lot of people ask us where are we getting our deals, and we find a lot of these through our network, through off-market leads that we find, but this property we found on the MLS, and it was a hidden gem because this house in the background was a package deal with the front house, and it made buying this front house, which was completely terrifying, look really expensive for what you were getting. But we found the hidden value. Anybody could have seen this on the MLS and bought it, so that's a big mistake I see people make is they think there are no deals out there, and there are plenty of deals even on the MLS.
If we haven't scared you off and you're ready to take a deep dive, check out our course.
House Flipping for Beginners takes you all the way from 0 through your very first house flip. The first 10 students to enter the code MISTAKE at checkout will get 25% off. Make sure you go check out Monica's channel, subscribe. The link is in the description. Thank you so much, Monica, for coming on this adventure with us.
Yeah, it was a fun day.
Austin's such a cool city, and I think I learned a lot.
Look at this. I mean, we're just cruising. We don't actually do these things. We just float around on a boat and we pretend we do for YouTube.
That's it. Goodbye.
Those millennials, they always know what the cool stuff is. It's kind of embarrassing when somebody not from your city comes and tells you about something that's in your city that you had no idea about.
Yeah.
We're like, oh yeah, retro boats. Yeah, we know about them.
Oh yeah, Austin's super cool like that. We're
hip.
We're hip.